Okay, hopefully this is working. Okay, web design. We are going to start looking at actually coding our web designs, our sites that we want to make. We're going to start off with just sort of the basics of how it works, and eventually the mock-ups that you should be working on, you'll be able to make them, or pretty close to it. So to start off with, I'd like you to follow along with this so that you kind of see how it works and hopefully it makes sense. So you can go to this website. This is what we'll be using most of the time. There are some other sites that are decent, but this is called Replit or Replit. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's replit.com, replit.com, and you can use that to. This looks interesting, but you can use that to work in the cloud, kind of like a Google Doc. It even allows multiplayer editing of your code, so you can work with other people. You're able to share your project, share your code, let them edit your code, or not let them edit your code but still see it. It's kind of up to you. So it's a pretty decent site, and we use it a lot. Sometimes we have some connection issues to it, so sometimes we have to find alternatives. But this is what we'll be using mostly. When you come here, I'm not sure if you'll see exactly this, but you'll see something like it. You can, there's a place to create a REPL here. There is a plus button, and there's a plus button up here. This symbol here, the little 5 logo, this language that we're going to be using, this language of the internet, this actually system of languages, is what we're going to be using. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are what we'll be using in this class. All of these, have a long history of use on the internet, and they have sort of changed over that history to each handle a different aspect of a website, and I'll explain more of that as we go along. But together they are the basic technology of what the user experiences in terms of websites, and I guess bundled together it's kind of referred to as HTML5. So that's why the 5 logo is prominent, and most of our projects are in this set of languages. So when you come to REPL, you can log in. You can, when you go to log in, it'll ask you for a username and a password. You can just click the Google G icon, because your Newman account is a Google account. So you can just log in with your Newman account by clicking the G icon for Google, and then just enter your Newman email address and password, and it will automatically log you in, and that way it's associated with your Newman account. But once you've done that, I think you get like a questionnaire, like, what's your experience with coding? What languages are you interested in? You can skip that questionnaire, or you can fill it out, whatever you'd like. But you can certainly skip it. So we're going to create an HTML5 project, and I'm gonna name this nothing right now. You can give it a name. I guess I'll name it. We'll just call this Intro to HTML 1. And then, so I give it a title. It's fine if it's public. I'm gonna create my REPL, and just make sure you're on this language, the HTML5, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then go ahead and click Create. You will be then taken to an editor, take a little bit to load. They have this funny little robot character. Now I'm connected, it should load, and this is what your project will look like when you start. So basically we're in this project folder. We have an index.html file, we have a script.js file, and we have a style.css file. These other files should be empty. They're ready to go, but our HTML file has some basic skeleton code here, which is also ready to go and pretty much does nothing. If I click run, it will generate the website from this. I'm going to click run, and you'll see nothing because even though there's code here, it doesn't do anything in particular yet. And there's no code anywhere else. So this code, even though it's code, doesn't do anything. So today I just want to go over what HTML is, how it works. We'll eventually get to CSS, and then eventually, and most of what we'll be doing will be HTML and CSS. We will eventually get to a little bit of JavaScript, but that will be much later than now. Right now, I'm just going to go over HTML, and just fair warning, I'm not really going to be doing things properly. I'm just trying to show you how it works from scratch, assuming you have no previous knowledge. So this isn't exactly how you would start normally, but I hope it's informative. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to delete everything, and we're just going to sort of talk about what we can do. Okay, so you may be used to something like Microsoft Word or Google Docs where you can type things. So let's say I want to say, hello, my name is Ryan. Yeah. Okay, let's run that. So that's my code, it's just a sentence, and there it is, very nice. Just like you would in any document. But this is not what's sometimes called a WYSIWYG, or a what you see is what you get application, like Microsoft Word. In Microsoft Word, if I wanted to make something bold, I would select it, and I would click the bold button, and it would look bold. And when I printed it, it would look bold. It would look just like how it looks in my editor. That's called what you see is what you get, and you kind of edit it visually. You kind of see the end product as you go. That's not how this works. So imagine you type a paper for an English class, you turn it in on hard copy, you print it maybe, and your teacher gives it back to you, and it has marks all over it. So maybe when you should have capitalized a letter, they underline that first letter 3 times for capitalization. Maybe if you misspelled something, they put SP next to it, and indicating that it's misspelled. Maybe they put an indication that you need some sort of comma, or maybe you have a sentence fragment, so they'll put the indication that there's a fragment there. Maybe they think you should break your paragraph and make a new paragraph somewhere. They'll put a mark there. What your teacher is doing, and they typically, when they ask you to turn in your paper, they want it double spaced so that they can write in, they can mark it up, they can mark up your paper. Well, that's actually what HTML stands for. That's what the M stands for. It stands for markup. The HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it is a language. So it has rules just like any language, and it is styled and formatted and laid out using markup, kind of like how your teacher will mark up your terrible papers. The hypertext means that you can click some of the text. We call that links, and it will take you somewhere else in the universe. It'll take you to another page. So it is dynamic in that you can jump from page to page by clicking words. Those are called hyperlinks, or just links. And text which has the ability to put in hyperlinks is called hypertext. But you can also style it using markup. So that's what we're going to kind of go over today, is just how does this work, just in the most basic way. Okay, let's say I like this. What I have. Hello, my name is Ryan. Yeah, yay. Maybe I want to say, I want to make a break, and I want to say, what's your name? Okay. So you read the first sentence, and then there's a space, a dramatic pause, and I want this other sentence. So let's see what happens. It puts it, let me go to larger, so just to make sure you guys can see this well. Maybe I'll do this. Hopefully you guys can see that. It says what I typed, but none of these line breaks. In fact, what if I put space here? So there's one space. You can see that. Maybe I'll put a space after the Y. Okay, let's see what that looks like. There it is. What if I put a lot of space after the Y? No effect. So you can put in a space, but you can't put in two spaces. It'll only take one. And it ignores these line breaks. So what's going on? Well, it doesn't work that way. It is not what you see is what you get. It ignores white space. This is not just a paper that you're writing. This is code, and you haven't coded it properly. So what if I do want to create line breaks like I have here? It's not happening. But what if I put in between, I can type open, like a less than sign. I'm going to type BR for break and close bracket. This is called a tag, and it creates a break element. This is an HTML element. And so this is a special piece of code. It will not show up down here in the output. It's an instruction to the computer telling it, your computer will receive this source code, and it will create what you see based on this set of instructions, based on this code. And this element will create a single line break. Bam. Okay, what if I want more line breaks? I want 5 of them. Well, it works. Okay. Well, what's cool is that I can do this, the same thing, all in one line. See? So this is a little tag. It's pretty nice. That's how you do a line break. So I have formatted my paper with markup. I've marked up my document. I put in this weird stuff in the document, which is not just the content. It's not just the text that appears, but it's little tags, little elements that space things out for me. So that's the beginning of this. Okay, so what if I tried to make different paragraphs? I said I could use the break, yeah. So I said, this is a sentence. This is another. Together, they make a paragraph. Whoops. So this is a program that detects what you're typing, and when you're doing something that it thinks it knows what you're trying to do, it will autocomplete, and it just tried to autocomplete because it thought I was trying to make a paragraph thing. you'll notice it does that. Now I want another paragraph. This one will have only 2 sentences. Okay, so again, no line breaks. I'm not getting it. I could put in the little break elements if I wanted to, but there's another way. So this is how you normally do things in HTML. The break tag is actually an odd element because it has just one tag. There's a couple elements that only have one tag. Most of them don't work that way. Most of them work by using 2 tags, an opening tag and a closing tag. P stands for paragraph in this case. So I create a paragraph element and I say what is the paragraph by, it's kind of like a sandwich. It's kind of like the top of the bun and the bottom of the bun, and I sandwich this stuff in between, which means that it is inside of that element. So I have a paragraph element which has all of this stuff in it. This is the inner HTML, it's called, and this are the opening and closing tags for that element, that paragraph element. I can now make the second thing another paragraph. Why did it come down here? And now I have 2 paragraphs. So if I run it, it has successfully separated my paragraphs. So that's kind of how you create some formatting, some basic formatting. You wrap things. You create these elements by wrapping it with tags. And one of the most basic tags is the paragraph tag. That's how you make a paragraph. All right. How do I give it sort of a title? Well, these are called headings. So I'm going to come to the beginning of my document, make a little space. Again, that space does nothing. But I can put something up here. Now, I want to make a H1 tag. This is a heading. So headings are kind of like big text. Like, for instance, this sidebar has a bunch of options. And this is like the heading telling you that you're in the settings section. And these are the items. But the heading is kind of bold at the top and sort of tells you the name of what this organizational unit is. So I'm going to create a heading for my paragraphs. I'm going to say words. And then I'm going to close it with a closing H1 tag. All right, what does that look like? Bam. Huge. So your browser by default will know that a heading 1 tag should be bold, it should be big and beautiful, like this. There are heading 2 tags. Now in REPL you can create these by just typing H2, and it will automatically know what you're talking about, and when you press enter it creates the pair of tags for you. So that's a nice autocomplete feature. Let's go in between the 2 slices of bread here. Let's put something in this sandwich. By Ryan. Okay, that's my subtitle. Heading 2. Let's run it. Okay, it kind of looks the same a little bit, but there's also heading 3s. A little smaller. There are heading 4s. I think there are 6 headings by default built into every browser. It knows how to handle that, up to 6 headings. But you can, of course, make custom elements that you can style any way you like. But that's how you kind of create headings. All right. I misspelled sentence. Okay, so let's say I want to make something bold. In Word, I would select it. I would click the bold button. Well, I can't do that here. What can I do? I need to make it a special element. So I need to wrap it with tags. So there's going to be an opening tag and a closing tag has a slash. But what is the tag going to be? I'm going to use the strong tag. Strong like bull. Oops, I did something. Hit my keyboard. So I've wrapped it with slices of strong, opening tag and a closing tag, and when I sandwich that word, I create a strong element within my paragraph element. And this will make it strong, which means bold in HTML parlance. So this is how you would make something bold, or at least how it was originally when HTML was young, which it no longer is. It is now mature, worldly. Okay. Let's say I want to make the word paragraph italic. I'm also going to wrap it with a set of tags. I want to create an emphasis element, which is EM. And that's how I make something italic. I run that. So pretty. So, this is how we start. We can style and we can format. And really what we're talking about is structuring our document with markup code. This is code. It is what we type here is not exactly what we'll see. We have to put instructions in here. There's parts that will not be seen by the viewer, but they help us structure the document, and we can sort of put things inside of other things. We can say how they're related to one another, what type of element they are, and there are some built-in elements like paragraph elements, strong elements, emphasis elements, headings, which allow us to make the output as we would like it. So this is, I guess, the beginning of how HTML works, and I hope this made some sense. We'll continue in the next one.